John Aravosis here, coming to you live from Chicago, soon Washington, D.C., where I'm normally at, but visiting Chicago for just a couple more days. This is the show where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine, and then I take your guys' questions. The way we work is I get TikTok rolling here on my iPad, and then we wait about 2 minutes for enough folks to arrive on TikTok and YouTube and everywhere else, and then we get rolling. So there we go. TikTok is rolling, and how's everybody doing? There we go. How's everybody doing? Give a little shout out where you guys are from to start the show, like we always do. And if anybody's watching this on recording, feel free to zoom ahead probably 2 minutes, and that's where we're going to start the show for real. But I've always got to launch it, and then we wait for, for TikTok and YouTube and everybody to join us. So, water. Anyway, how are folks doing? Got a few interesting things today. Oop, where's my other? Oh, here it is. There's my other. Oops. Hello, Newfoundland, Catherine. Newfoundland. I think that's how you guys say it. Ooh. Anyway, hello all. Hello, Northern Ireland. Hope yous have a good day. That's what we say. Do people say that there too? That's a Chicago expression. Use guys. I wonder if that comes from Irish originally. That's interesting if it does. I'm sure all the expressions we have come up from something. It's buffering today, Ash, really? All right, I'm going to hang up on TikTok and come back. TikTok's being evil. Don't be evil, TikTok. All right. Hold on, guys. See, this is why it's good to start early anyway, because things get weird sometimes. So TikTok, all right, it's switched to the other account. Let's go to this Wi-Fi. All right. Well, this is why we start early, to be safe. Here we go. All right, I'm going to start TikTok again. This time the Wi-Fi should be okay. Live, I tell you, live. It's alive. There we go. Okay. Hey, Solak, thank you for telling people that. All right, let's see. Well, we're still going to have to wait another minute now for the TikTokers to come back, but when they do, then we'll start the show. Sorry, guys. That's how it works when you're dealing with technology. But I always like to have at least a use. Well, in Chicago, they say use guys. I don't know if use itself in Chicago, but certainly use guys is a Chicago saying. But again, Irish, I wouldn't be surprised. Gene Wilder, I love Gene Wilder. All right, guys, hopefully that's better on TikTok now. I had to restart because I was on the wrong Wi-Fi network. You know how that works in your home when like all sorts of weird stuff's going back and forth. So hopefully that's better on TikTok. All right, guys, like I said, maybe we'll wait 1 more minute max and then we'll start for the TikTokers to arrive since we had a bad connection on TikTok to start with. We've got a lot of topics, but I'm not going to spend time on a lot of the topics are one-liners, but I think they're important to mention. So therefore, I've got them there. Thank you, Sexeed. Appreciate that. But I've got a lot of topics mentioned just because, there's a lot of subjects, but again, a lot of them are just one-liners. So, all right, I think I'm going to start anyway because we're waiting for TikTok to come back. So welcome, folks. I'm John Aravosis. This is the Aravosis Report. Thank you, Nico, for the heart on my head. This is my nightly show where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. You guys know I've got TikTok here on my iPad, on my laptop over here. I've got YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I think that's it. So you will see me looking back and forth, sort of talking to everybody. Hey, Cobra, welcome on Twitch. You'll see me going back and forth, talking to folks. So that's why. The way the show works, first half of the show, I'll be talking about the news, and the second half of the show, taking your guys' questions. If you have a super chat question, however, I will always take that question immediately or as soon as I'm done with my train of thought, because it's a question you pay for, and therefore it's a gift that you're making to support my work. So as a thank you, I will always do super chat questions almost immediately. And for TikTok, if you guys do the gifts on TikTok, which I very much appreciate, I will always do a shout out if I see it. Occasionally I don't see it, but usually I see it. So do a shout out for you guys because I do this full time. This is my full-time job. It has been since the war started. And therefore I ask for your guys' gifts to help support me to pay the bills, because quite literally, this is my salary and nobody else pays me except you guys. So thank you very much. You have been very generous and supporting up until now. So thank you guys. So let me get rolling here. So I'm going to start with a fundraiser. Thank you, Kanowski. A fundraiser we are doing for literally dying kids in Ukraine. It's kind of depressing, but it is what it is. There are a number of kids, a couple hundred kids in a hospice in Kharkiv, Ukraine. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, a hospice, like Vlad was telling me this, and I was like, a hospice? A hospice is where someone who is dying goes to at least get, in English, what we say palliative care. Thank you, Tom, for the hat there, which basically means, painkillers and things, but there's nothing else they can do for them, and basically waiting to die. There is a hospice for children in Kharkiv, Ukraine. They are children who were rescued basically from the occupied territories, that once the Ukrainians took the territories back from the Russians, the kids were very sick and needed help, and they brought them to the hospice in Kharkiv. The hospice approached us and said they need 200 kits or 200 sets of gifts for these kids. The gifts are things from toys to literally pens and paper. They needed like felt pens and notebook and paper for these kids. So they've asked us, can we, and here's the request, which honestly, we can do this. They said, can you help us get 200 of these kits for $7 each? $1,400, which is around the same in euros and pounds. I always forget, but it's around the same. Of course, we said yes. You can donate by going to Vlad's PayPal. Let me pull this up really quick for you guys here. Vlad's PayPal, my friend Vlad in Ukraine. Thank you, Happy Beach, for the gift there, who's the one we always do this with. You'll just give PayPal donations directly to Vlad. Vlad is coordinating this. He's buying the gifts for the kids, the gift sets for the kids who are terminally ill, and he's going to be giving them to the hospital, to the hospice. So you guys have Vlad's contact information there. You guys can get Vlad's information. It's Vlad Naprakovsky in my profile. Look for the link in my profile on TikTok and click. And the very first thing that comes up will give you Vlad's PayPal. Just log in. There's no linking. Just go to your PayPal and type in Vlad's email address. We've been doing this with Vlad for a year. The majority of the $100,000 we've raised for Ukraine has gone through my friend Vlad in Ukraine. It's totally trustworthy. And bottom line, we are not taking a dime. I'm starting with this instead of the news because this is not for me. I'm getting zero out of this. Vlad's getting zero. We are literally trying to help these kids in Ukraine who are dying get some toys and some notebooks and papers in their dying days, really, in the hospice. So if you can help out, quite literally $7 will buy one set for one dying, terminally ill kid. I don't want to keep saying dying. It sounds horrible, but it is what it is. For one terminally ill kid, if you can help out, it would be really cool, guys. They want to buy the gifts on the 29th. That's 4 days from now. So if you can help out by then, I think that would be very cool. So thank you for that. All right. Again, go to my profile. You'll click on the profile link in TikTok, and very first thing comes up is Vlad's. I describe this, so you'll see it's the same thing in Vlad's PayPal. So please give via PayPal, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get rolling. So today is day 455 of Vladimir Putin's 10-day special military operation in Ukraine. Thank you for the Let's Go gift there. Who is that? Happy Beach. Thank you for that. Lot of boom, boom, boom news today. I've got a lot of stories, like 15, but I'm going to give like one-liners on a lot of them because they don't require talking more than that. Thank you, Tom, for the hearts. Wall Street Journal. South Korea is moving ahead with providing several 100,000 artillery rounds to Ukraine. Now, this is interesting because South Korea, back I think like in November or something, said that they were considering doing it or they were going to do it, and then they backed off and they said, "Oh no. Like we don't want to give any weapons. They didn't want to give weapons to Ukraine." Well, obviously, the South Korean president, mind you, came to Washington a short while ago, and obviously the relationship with Biden is good, and Biden was able to convince him to provide these weapons. Ukraine needs these because, as you know, there's been an ammunition shortage going on for a while now. Actually, the Russians are having one too, but the Ukrainians have an ammunition shortage, and they desperately need artillery for the counteroffensive. They're getting it from South Korea, which is fabulous. Thank you, Tom, for the hat there. Zaluzhny lives. So Zaluzhny is the top general, the commander of the Ukrainian armed forces. Okay, basically their version of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in America, or the Russian, I think they call him chief of staff or something like that. The Russians for a week now have been claiming Zaluzhny's dead. We killed him. And I've had people asking me, and I even had people in our Discord. We've got a great Discord community, by the way, where we talk about Ukraine all day long. Check it out, discord.aravosis.com. It's great community. Well, we've been talking about this, and folks are asking. They go, he said he's dead. Is he dead? And what I've been saying all along is, don't believe the Russians. The Russians lie. But I mean, they really lie. People are saying all governments lie. Not like this, they don't. Thank you, Sexeed, for the heart there. Not like this, they don't. The Russians lie as a matter of policy. Everything coming out of their mouths is a lie with regards to the war. Everything. And what do you know? Zaluzhny popped up in a video today. Thank you, Martin, for the heart. Another Ukrainian military guy, I don't really recognize him, was doing the introduction and saying just that, like Russian propaganda was saying Zaluzhny's dead and bup. Thank you, George. Was it George? Thank you, George. I thought that was that. And John and Martin. Sorry, a lot of you came in at once there with all the hearts. Thank you, guys. So the other guy introduces him and says there's been a lot of rumors about his death and propaganda from the Russians. Well, here we go. And the camera turns and there's Zaluzhny. He goes, hello. So he ain't dead. He's doing fine. The Russians lie. Big surprise. Russian volunteers. So the Russian volunteers who invaded Russia, excuse me. Remember this story from a few days ago? The Russians were very upset. We had a lot of trolls getting very upset. Oh, wait until you find out what I'm wearing. I am wearing, somebody asked if I was wearing a smock. I am wearing a Russian sniper's hoodie. This is a hoodie from a Russian sniper in Ukraine. Oh, with the hat on. Actually, that's that's cool. It is a hoodie from a Russian sniper in Ukraine, and we're auctioning it off on my Discord. And the proceeds, 50% of the proceeds are going back to Ukraine to help a soldier's unit, the soldier who got this. So that's why I'm wearing it. Colonel Mustard, that's mine, exactly. This is Colonel Mustard so far. But I thought I'd wear it today to sort of show it off for everybody. So remember a couple days ago, slide over here. Let me turn there we go. So a couple days ago, there were Russian troops that crossed the border and invaded Russia. The Ukrainians were working with them, mostly here near Kharkiv, but there were reports of some up here by Sumy as well, Sumy, Ukraine. Okay. Well, the Russians freaked out, of course. These invasion was basically meant to freak out, two things, freak out the Russians and embarrass Putin, because Putin's a dictator and dictators can't afford to appear weak, right? And of course he appears weak if these former Russian soldiers are invading from Ukraine and taking over parts of Russia and claiming they're liberated, right? So the Russians send out the military, they take the land back, at least from what we know. There were reports that yesterday there were a few more attacks, and reports today that there's even more attacks happening along the border there, going from Ukraine into Russia. But again, that there's these Russian soldiers invading Russia, right? And again, the idea here is twofold, as I said. One, to embarrass Putin as a dictator, because dictators can't afford to appear weak to their people. But the second is to force the Russians to bring troops and military and weapons up to this part of Ukraine. Think about this, okay? This is all the land that Russia controls. Russia invaded and still controls this land in Ukraine, right? The counteroffensive, Ukraine's big counterattack, is expected to be, it's going to be in a lot of places, and I'm not telling any secrets here. Everybody assumes this. The really important parts are Crimea that Ukraine wants, but to get Crimea, Ukraine needs Kherson and Zaporizhia. So everyone thinks that this area is probably the most important, and maybe will be some of the initial fighting. Again, I'm not telling any secrets here. Everyone knows this, but that the initial fighting will probably be around here. Well, if the attacks are up here, crossing the border and up here, this means that now Russia has to beef up its border all the way up here. And if they've got to beef the border up here, bring more troops up here, bring more weapons up here, guess where they're getting them from? Down here. So this is forcing the Russians to move troops from where they should be near the counteroffensive to where they now have to be up by the border. Brilliant move by the Ukrainians, because the Ukrainians are clearly, helping these guys. Brilliant move by the Ukrainians to really screw up the Russian effort to fight against the counteroffensive. Thank you, Pepe, or Pepe. Pepe, thank you for that. I'm going to guess that's Flower Lady or Happy Beach. Who was that? Let me see. Hang on. It's hiding who that was. Oh, Benji. You surprised me. All right. Thank you, Benji, for the flowers. Usually it's Flower Lady. That's why I never quite know what the flowers. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. So the reason I was bringing this up, so supposedly there were some more cross-border attacks today. More Ukrainian counterattacks. It looks like the Berdyansk cable plant was the target of an attack tonight by likely a British Storm Shadow cruise missile. Berdyansk, you can't see it, but it's written here on my map in blue. Berdyansk is right here along the coast between Mariupol and Melitopol. This is the middle of Russian-occupied territory, and there was an attack against a factory there by, we believe, a British cruise missile that was provided to the Ukrainians. Remember that cruise missile that can go 200 miles or 300 kilometers, and they cost like $2 million each. So the Ukrainians have to be careful how many of them they use, but This means if they use the cruise missile to go after the plant, thank you, Marcy, it means this plant was pretty significant. Thank you, Ray, for the heart there. It means this plant was pretty significant. So that's good news. The Ukrainians released, let me show you this. The Ukrainians released, so in the last couple of days, thank you, Allie, for the confetti. The Ukrainians claimed, remember I've mentioned a few times in the last few days that that the Russians were claiming that that the recent Ukrainian attacks against Russian ships were ineffective. And remember my is it an aphorism or an adage? I don't know which. Russia lies. So it kind of made me wonder. Ukraine supposedly had used a number of unmanned boats. I remember we were saying they're drones, so they're unmanned vehicles, but they're boat vehicles. So they're I'm calling them drone boats or boat drones, right? So they're unmanned. They got bombs on them, and these low-riding boats will go up and try to blow up near the Russian ships. Well, not surprisingly, hey, Michaela, good to see you too, or good to see you, I should say. I'm not Greg, but I want to say hi. The Ukrainians are using them to try to blow up the Russian shipping that is down here in the Black Sea, particularly Sevastopol, which is the big Russian fleet, right? Well, last couple of days, again, we'd heard the Ukrainians had attacked. The Russians said, oh, they attacked, but we blew up every unmanned boat the Russians sent at us. We blew up all the drones. And a lot of us were going, eh. So the Ukrainians today released a video. Guess what? The Russians didn't blow up every ship. I'm going to show you this. The good thing is this video is right before the drone blows up, so there's no violence in the video. All this is because for TikTok and YouTube purposes, this is simply a video of two boats. You're not going to see any violence, which is good. But the Ukrainians released it to show the drone. Thank you, Chief, to show you what happens. Now I'm going to see if I think I can do this well. Yeah, I can do this well enough here. Okay, here, you guys can see. I'll try to get closer. So that's the Russian ship. Okay. Thank you, the bear, for the confetti. Let me do it again because it kind of went fast. Come on. Okay. It's not very long. So there's the Russian ship. The boat's approaching. Now it's getting closer. All right, here we go. It's pulling up to the back of the boat. It's at the back of the boat, and then the camera cuts off. Maybe the Russians blew up the boat when it was 1 foot away from hitting the Russian boat. I mean, the ship, the drone, maybe. I don't believe this, right? 1/3 of a meter away. I don't believe this. Looks pretty clear that the Ukrainians did some damage. Now, what's particularly interesting, thank you, Bear, for the corgi there. What's particularly interesting is this was an intelligence ship, an intelligence gathering ship for the Russians. Apparently, they don't have a lot of these. Thank you, Mustard and the Bear again. They don't have a lot of these, and they're very important ships for the Russians. Thank you, Bear. You're going crazy. I appreciate it. They don't have a lot of these. So this was a big deal if the Ukrainians were able to damage this ship. As for somebody's asking, Raven was asking, were they even firing on it? I could not tell, but I actually saw the same video on CNN this afternoon. This video was released by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, and CNN said they could see bullets firing in the water. I vaguely thought maybe I saw a splash in front of it, but that was it. So didn't go for it. They were literally using their guns to fire at this thing, which also makes you think it means they didn't know until the last minute, because how would they not, right? How would they not have something bigger to fire at this than it looks like bullets? It literally looks like they're using bullets. What else here? In Zelensky's nightly address, he claimed that Ukraine's National Guard has downed 2 Russian Su-type aircraft in the Zaporizhia region. Zaporizhia is this region here. That's the region I was telling you about. The Russians are occupying it, and it is expected to be a key region for the counteroffensive because Russia controls all of this. Ukraine wants to cut this in half, the Russian occupation. They want this part of the Russian occupation to no longer be able to communicate with this part of the Russian occupation. So the thought is that they're going to invade here. So the fact that fighter jets are being shot down over Zaporizhia is a good sign. Steven, I don't have a map on Moscow. I don't know if I can show you Moscow. Steven has a super chat question. As always, for super chat questions, we answer them. He's asking where Moscow is on the map. So my guess is Ukraine. Belarus is here. Ukraine is here. My guess is going to be Moscow is 300 miles. I'm going to say directly north, maybe north and a little east. I may get this wrong. It's about 300 miles or 400 miles, but maybe it's that way a little bit. Hoping I get that right. That's where Moscow is, Russian. Okay. Per CNN. Oh, so again, there's lots of little story. Am I right? Okay, I'm hoping I'm right. There's lots of little stories today. Like I said, I'm going to do a lot of quick hits on the stories. There was a fire today on a balcony of the Russian Ministry of Defense. Kind of weird, because the Russians are basically now denying it. But TASS, one of the Russian papers, reported on it. They cited that the agency cited emergency services saying that a blaze had broken out on a balcony. A balcony? I mean, how could a balcony of the Ministry of Defense catch fire unless a drone, right? To me, that says a drone that had a bomb on it or some kind of weapon hit the balcony. What else? I mean, how does a balcony catch on fire, right? That just doesn't make sense. But hang on, just seeing what who was that? Thomas with the corgi. Thank you, Thomas. But TASS reports that it happened. They cited emergency services, so they even had a source that said it happened. Get this. Then, and CNN showed the video showing smoke. Well, the Russians are now denying it. There was no fire. We don't know what you're talking about. Video seen by CNN showed smoke surrounding the building, and a woman heard saying, "The smell of burning is horrible." So the woman even says the smell of burning is horrible, and the Russians are now saying, "Oh no, there was no fire. No fire." So who knows? Bakhmut. So Bakhmut, I feel like German. Bakhmut, kind of a strange name, is a town right here, right in eastern Ukraine. It's on the border between Russian occupied and Ukrainian, free Ukraine. Russia's been trying to capture this for like 10, 11 months now. They may have finally captured it last weekend. Not clear. But as we were expecting, the Wagner mercenary group, right? The soldiers for hire that pretty much led the battle on Bakhmut, run by Prigozhin, the oligarch, the billionaire. He had talked about his soldiers basically needing time to relax and pull out. And that's what they're doing now. They're already withdrawing. Some are still there, but reportedly by June 1st, so in 5 days or so, 6 days, the Russians will have totally pulled out. And not the Russians, excuse me, the Wagner group will totally have pulled out, and it will only be regular Russian troops that are now occupying Bakhmut, which is going to be interesting because there's still a lot of talk about the Ukrainians possibly going back in there, because some have said that the Ukrainians have surrounded Bakhmut and they're up in the mountains, especially in the hills surrounding Bakhmut. And it could be a bad situation for the Russians if the Ukrainians decide to counterattack again, especially if the good troops, the Wagner troops, are gone. And now it's the regular Russian troops who, are just these young kids who just got drafted and aren't that good. Thank you, Thomas, for the funky glasses. Let me do a quick pitch on the Discord, and then we will come back. So we've got a Discord community. The Discord community is basically a cool place. We hang out and we chat all day about the issues. Lots of topics, but Ukraine's our number one topic because, all of us are into Ukraine. It's discord.aravosis.com. You can find the links in my profile on TikTok. You guys can find the link. Hang on, get rid of Vlad here real quick. Banners. You guys can go to aravosis.com and you'll find the same link. Two things I'm going to pitch you on here. One, on the Discord, we do auctions, and the auctions are a really neat way to raise money for Ukraine and raise money for my work because I do this full time. As I said, I do this for free, and I'm not rich. So in order to pay the bills, I discord.aravosis.com. Thanks, Royshin. In order to pay the bills, one of the ways is I'm doing these auctions, cool stuff we get from Ukraine. Thank you, George. And who was the other? Michael. George and Michael. That's very funny. In order to support my work, I've been doing these auctions, and 50% of the money, because I think we're sending back to Ukraine, to Vlad, to use for the various humanitarian and military stuff. And the rest of it, I've been doing to support my work. Well, let me show you two things we've got. Thank you, Bax, for that. Two things. One that we're auctioning off. This one's doing very well. It's very cool. People can bid from abroad. Yep, absolutely. International. I mean, you guys pay shipping, but it's international. This is the one that I love because it's a plaque of the Russian warship "Go F Yourself" stamp. This is the famous Ukrainian stamp. Oh, that was actually very funny, Dak. It's the famous. It recognized it as a person. It was putting the heart on its head. That was funny. Thank you, Jeff. This is the famous Ukrainian stamp, or the picture of it, of the Moskva, the Russian ship that not only the Ukrainians sank, but it's the Russian ship that, remember, it attacked Snake Island. Thank you, Dak. It attacked Snake Island, and the Ukrainian troops told it, Russian warship, "Go F yourself." 6 weeks later, the Ukrainians sank it. This is a Ukrainian soldier giving the middle finger to the boat. This was actually a Ukrainian stamp. That's how edgy these guys are. So they made it, and this is from the made by the Ukrainian government. They made it into a plaque. It's a plaque or a desk. It's got a desk mount or a wall mount. Really cool. So this is one of the things we're bidding on. Another thing we're bidding on is, thank you, Kenneth, for that. Another thing we're bidding on is this jacket that I am wearing. Oops, put my button on my pants. Oh, I never did put my, you guys didn't tell me my microphone was off on TikTok, sorry, or YouTube. So this is a Russian sniper jacket. How cool is this? It's a hoodie, but it's from a Russian sniper in Ukraine. And it's really good. I mean, I'm like a size large and it fits me great. The funny part is it's got, cool Velcro little pockets. The funny part is it's probably an extra large or an extra large. A lot of the military clothes, I'll give the Russians credit for this, smartly are made so that they fit on a number of different sizes. I know, I was very surprised. I wear a medium or a large at most, which is really surprising. Medium or a large, that's it. But the extra, I think it's a large or extra large. It fits me. It is literally the jacket of a Russian sniper. It comes with a whole outfit. We've already been auctioning off the other parts. The pants were already sold. The pants did have a hole in them, by the way. The pants were sold. There was a nice bag that came with it that was sold. This is the last bit. Now, just so you know, this is to benefit, again, the Ukrainians. Thank you, Thomas. A Ukrainian soldier actually got the jacket. He got it to us and said, if you can auction it off and, basically auction it, and if you can get me half the money and you can use half the money for your work. I said, great, let's do it. So Vlad knew the guy. Oops, sorry. Thank you. Who was that? Red and Bonnie. Yep. And then who's doing that? Sorry, you guys have gifts coming in, so I want to make sure I'm thanking you. Who's the origami? Show me the origami. Shoot, it's not. TikTok does this sometimes. It hides who the gifts are coming from. I'm sorry, origami person. Thank you so much. That was very sweet of you. I did see it. Thank you. Any case, bottom line is half the money will go back to the Ukrainian troop, and he's going to use it for his unit. So check it out. I've got like 5 other things. We've got lots of cool stuff we're auctioning. Thank you, Lori, for that. And if you can help out, Hazel, thank you for that. Now, the final thing, I'll push you on Ko-fi in a few minutes. We'll do that in a few minutes. So it's discord.aravosis.com. Now, about 20 Ukrainian pilots will enter the first phase of training on modern fighter jets that will allegedly take place in the United Kingdom, the Foreign Policy reported. Foreign Policy says that Ukraine wants up to 200 Western fighter jets now, is what they're saying they need. Initially, Ukraine had said 25 to 50 or something. There was a hole in the pants, yes. In the ankle, though, it wasn't mortal. But 25 to 50 fighter jets. Now they're saying 200 is the preferred number they need. Now, I will mention another story that I was going to mention later, but I'll mention it right now. Sweden, oddly, has announced today that it is going to train Ukrainians on using is it Gripen, I think, fighter jet, which I think is the Swedish fighter jet, but they don't have enough to actually give the Ukrainians the jets. So it's not really clear why Sweden, this is one of those stories where there's something going on they're not telling us, because Sweden wouldn't offer to train Ukrainian troops on how to fly a fighter jet that Sweden is never giving them. That wouldn't happen. It would be a waste of time, right? You wouldn't take these you wouldn't take them out of the war to do this, but also you would train them on fighter jets they're getting, not fighter jets they're not getting. So something's going on with this. To me, this means Sweden will be giving fighter jets, even though they're saying now they're not. It's weird, though. Kenneth, I did say thank you for that. Yeah, both of you. I didn't. Okay, Kenneth, I thanked. I remember that. Thank you, Kenneth, for that. Bill, I didn't realize that was a super chat question. Thank you. I did say there are holes. There are no holes that I can find in here. No, none that we can find in here. Actually, I will tell you the story too. This was not gross. The guy didn't die. Okay, because I know people were ready. The guy did not die. Vlad actually had found the whole story. It was somebody near, it's on my phone. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up. I don't want to get you guys the story wrong, but this jacket came from a Russian soldier that was near, hold on, I've got it on my, got it here, Russian hoodie. Vlad, give me all the details. I want to say Solidar. Yes, A Russian soldier who surrendered in Soledar, which is near Bakhmut. Thank you, Danan, for that, the boxing robe. A Russian soldier who surrendered in Soledar, which is near Bakhmut. Bakhmut's the town we're always talking about. He was being tracked with a drone, and the drone dropped a grenade on him. He was not killed. He was injured by the grenade, and he gave up and said, okay, that's it. Like, I'm not fighting. And the Ukrainians, again, bless the Ukrainians on this. The soldier surrendered, and they called off the attack. And they got him, and he's now, I don't know if he's still a prisoner of war, but he was a prisoner of war last fall. So that's where this came from. It wasn't anything, wasn't anything nasty, basically. So let's keep going here. Russian Defense Minister, thank you, Kanausi. Russian Defense Minister Shoigu. Oops, sorry. So I'll go here now for the rest of you. Make sure I didn't miss anything. The gifts are coming. Hang on. Wayne, thank you for the gift. Timothy, Bonnie, Thomas. All right. You threw a lot of them in there when I was looking away, tricking me. No, Pepe, did you get the super sticker? Okay, good. I think I'm okay with this. All right. And yeah, you know what? Whoever's on YouTube scolding, let it go. You have no idea where this came from, and neither do I. All right. The Russian foreign policy, Russian Defense Minister Shoigu and his Belarusian counterpart. So this is an interesting story. I don't really believe it totally. Thank you, Wayne, for the glasses. The Russians are claiming, thank you, Bonnie. The Russians are claiming that they are sending nuclear weapons now to Belarus. Belarus is Putin's BFF up here in the left, right? This is all Belarus. This is Russia. This is Belarus. This is Poland, etc. Right? Belarus is up here, dictatorship, right? Run by a fan of Putin, who basically it's a Russian dictatorship, a Russian puppet state, really. Supposedly, the Russians are now sending nuclear weapons there. Supposedly, I don't care. The Russians are supposedly sending short-range nuclear weapons, so they're the tactical ones, the ones that we're worried they might use in Ukraine. Not worried, but that they would use in Ukraine if they were using anything. It just doesn't matter. They're doing it to freak everybody out. First of all, the fact that Russia says they're moving them doesn't mean they're moving them, right? I don't even think that's true. Thank you, Pawfik, for that. I'm not at all convinced that they're moving them. They're not. They're keeping them under Russian control, which is good anyway, even if they're moving them, because God knows they wouldn't trust the Belarusian military with them. They're trying to freak people out. I mean, there are already Russian missiles close enough to Europe. They're in Kaliningrad, right? Or Königsberg, as we're calling it now, right? They're in Königsberg, which is the Russian territory that is further in Europe and surrounded by Poland and Lithuania. They're already there. These weapons do nothing, right? They're not going to attack Poland. I mean, they're trying to freak out Poland too. They're not going to attack Poland, because if they attack Poland, America goes to war with them. And 30 other countries in addition, 30 other countries, including America, go to war with them, including Poland, if they do that. They're not attacking Poland. This is, once again, and I've told you guys, the nuclear threats are going to continue and continue and continue from Russia. They're always going to threaten nukes. That's all they're going to do. So just be aware of that. So it's bull. It's bull. They may not be sending them, and even if they do send them, so what? They're not going to use them. So they want us to stop supporting Ukraine. Not going to happen. A little bit more news. Prigozhin. Okay, kind of a weird thing today from Prigozhin. So Prigozhin is the Russian oligarch who is the billionaire that runs the Wagner Group. The Wagner Group are the Russian mercenaries who were fighting in Bakhmut, basically. And he did a public relations stunt today, basically a marketing stunt, using the dead body of an American Marine who volunteered to fight in Ukraine and the dead body of a Turkish man who he claims, get this, the Turkish man died when the Ukrainians blew up his apartment building in Ukraine. And you're going, sure they did. Sure. I'm going to guess the Turkish man died when the Russians blew up his apartment building, which the Russians have been targeting on purpose since the war began. Nonetheless, Prigozhin does a video with the U.S. flag-covered coffin of this dead Marine, and he's trying to show how magnanimous he is by returning these dead bodies. Now, couple problems, and this is a very Russian move, okay? Because I've told you guys before, there are a lot of weird things the Russians do which show that they're not like us, but meaning it's not a Western government. I don't know what you want to call the mindset, but it's not a Western mindset. Prigozhin, they think, is doing this as another challenge to Putin. He's trying to show the leaders of the world, the international community, that he is a reasonable statesman, that even though we are at war, look, he has treated these dead soldiers, even though they're mercenaries, these dead soldiers from America and Turkey with courtesy and respect and blah, blah, blah. And he thinks this is somehow showing that he too is an international, maybe he's even better than Putin, right? Because he respects you. The problem is, and this is where that messed up mentality comes in, you're using a dead body as a video prop for your presidential campaign. That is gross. And everybody knows it's gross. Now, it may not be gross in Russia, right? But it is gross in the rest of the civilized world. And Prigozhin doesn't get that. And that's to me, that was the most interesting part about the whole thing, is that he thought doing a basically a campaign video for his presidential campaign of using the dead bodies of an American and a Turk to try to show what a great guy he is, but he's using their dead bodies. It's like, dude, it's sick. Somebody said super sick. Exactly, KT. It's just sick. But to him, this is part of his effort. And final point, though, is he is using this to go against Putin. This effort is to make him look, compared to Putin, I am a reasonable man and I respect you, international community. I think Putin's going to kill this guy at some point. He hasn't yet. Putin clearly thinks Prigozhin is too big to kill at this point, but I'm not convinced that's going to stay forever. How many more times does he have to do this kind of stuff challenging Putin before Putin says that's it? And Putin's just not the kind of guy that lets this stuff go, but so far he's letting it go. Finland is going to send 109 million euros worth of equipment to Ukraine. That's around the same in dollars, more or less the same, including anti-aircraft weaponry and ammunition. Thank you, Karen, for the hat. I loved this second part, though. The Finnish government, mind you, Finland just joined NATO, remember? The Finnish government added that it refused to give any further details for operational reasons and in order to ensure the safe delivery of assistance. This may be the first time we've seen somebody come out and say, we're giving aid, but we're really not going to tell you what it is because we don't want the Russians to know. It's just interesting. It's nice to see, but we've all been asking a lot, isn't that weird how much the West keeps telling the Russians what we're giving Ukraine? Well, the Finns are not, which is good. Final story. Oh, no, the final story was the Swedes, which I already told you about. The Swedes are going to train Ukrainian pilots on its JAS-39 Gripen fighter jets as part of a familiarization program, even though they're not going to provide the jets to the Ukrainians. Something's going on there. I think the Swedes are actually going to give the weapons, or there's absolutely no reason to train them. That was the last story. Let me do a really quick pitch, and then we'll do the questions. Thank you, Lori, for the confetti. I just, with the help of our wonderful friend Syndicate, just send up a Ko-fi or coffee site today, which is another way of giving tips or donations and even signing up because Discord makes it so Discord's free. You can go to discord.aravosis.com and join our online community there where you can chat about Ukraine and everything. But there's a pay option to help support my work, and you get into the VIP sections, which include a VIP auction section, which is very cool because some things we only give to the VIP members to auction. Weekend chat we do with just the VIP members. I do. But it's very hard to sign up for the paid option. We found a better option, which is with Ko-fi or coffee that a lot of the tech sites use. It's ko-fi.com/Aravosis. You guys have the link at the bottom of the page. You YouTubers, Twitchers, and everybody else, it's right there on the very bottom. You guys can find it in my profile on TikTok. Go to my profile, look for the Linktree link, click through. And right now it's probably the second thing. The first thing is that donation we're doing to raise money for kids in the hospice in Ukraine. But the second thing is my Ko-fi link. Click it, and it allows you to do two things. One, give a one-time donation to help me out. Thank you, Milo, for that. Two, give a monthly donation to help me out. That would be nice too. Three, you can give a specific monthly donation and have it count to our Discord. So then you become a paid member of the Discord. And there's other privileges with that. So a lot of and joining Discord, also easier using Ko-fi or coffee. So if you want to check out coffee, I would appreciate it. What I always say is if I could get 2 people per show to donate who have not been donating before, it would help a lot because I do this for free. I've been doing it full time and I'm going to keep doing it no matter what. Thank you, Fresher. But it helps me pay the bills because literally this is my job. You guys all have jobs. and you have a salary, this is my salary. I'm not doing consulting. I'm not doing anything. I am simply working for Ukraine, so to speak. So if you guys can help out, go to ko-fi.com/Aravosis. You guys have the link at the bottom of the page. You guys, thank you, Mustard, for the hat. You guys have the link in my TikTok profile, the Linktree link. Click it. Ko-fi's probably the second thing. Click it through. You can check it out. But as I said, even one-time gifts, whatever you can do. But if you want to join, like I said, long-term for the Discord, you can do a monthly donation. Click the membership thing on Ko-fi. You'll see the 3 categories, and it makes it much easier. So thank you for that. All right, guys, let's keep going. You're not inferior, Timothy, but there's lots of different ways I've got to bring the money in. Because otherwise, thank you, Magical, for the superpower. You're all important in your own ways. No, because you guys, I also do the weekend thing with. As well. Thank you, Timothy, for that, for the boot. And you guys get Vlad every weekend, which they can listen to on Discord, but only you guys get Vlad in person on TikTok on the weekends. So everybody gets their own thing. Thank you, Jennifer, for the corgi. All right, let's do the Q&A. Thank you, Wayne. And yeah, please do keep the gifts coming, guys. The gifts on TikTok and the gifts on YouTube, because I like it. So thank you, guys. Salmon, I'll admit, Mom made salmon the other night. I wasn't thrilled. I'll admit it was good. Okay. I'll admit I was not happy because she always gets me salmon. I'm always like, salmon? I just am not a fish guy. Salmon, smoked salmon, delicious. But I was not happy, and I will admit it was good. Thank you, Happy Beach. And Wayne, Happy Beach and Red Watts. Sorry, guys. Whenever I'm telling stories, I don't look close enough. Wayne, you got a number of these here. Thank you. Oh, and Jennifer, thank you, guys. Okay, hope I didn't miss anybody. Like I said, I always try to get the thank you, Paul and Tom Clark there. All right, let me pull up the questions on TikTok. Remember, you guys on TikTok can submit questions via the Q&A link in my profile on TikTok, and the rest of you can just obviously use the bottom of the page. Thank you, Magical. Q&A. We know Ukraine is planning a counteroffensive, so are they waiting for new aircraft and ammo and even more tanks to come? That's the assumption, yeah. The assumption has been 2 things are going on. One, Ukraine is waiting to fight back for the big counteroffensive for more weapons to arrive. We don't know what. The supposition is tanks. It's probably not fighter jets, because the fighter jets aren't going to arrive for, 6 months probably at this point. They've still got to be trained on the fighter jets. It'll take at least 4 months. So it's not the planes, probably. It is most likely tanks. But, the other thing it could be, though, thank you, Dora, we know that there are other weapons coming from the U.S. We know that the U.S. was sending Bradley fighter vehicles. We know a lot of them are there. I don't know if all of them are there, and those are going to be very helpful. Thank you, Hazel, for that. We know those are a big deal. It's also possible some of these artillery rounds, like we now know there's artillery, a lot of it, a couple 100,000 coming from South Korea. We know that there's a couple 100,000 artillery coming, or part of it's come, I guess, from the EU, the European Union. I don't know whether some of that is on the way and hasn't arrived yet. If it's on the way and haven't arrived, maybe my guess is that all of this stuff is arriving over time. Like, you've got a schedule going out 9 months or a year, including the American Abram tanks, which aren't coming probably until the fall, maybe even next year, right? So you got a schedule of all of these. And if you're Ukraine, you look at the schedule and you say, okay, every day I delay the counteroffensive is a little bit more weapons that are coming in. And at some point you say, I can't delay any longer, but I want to get the right weapons. The other issue is the weather. Currently, the ground is still wet. So it's not great for tanks, especially. Tanks would have to stay on the main roads. They wouldn't be able to go through forests and fields and stuff. And if they stay on the main roads, it's really dangerous for them because the enemy can see them very easily and they'll get blown up. So that's the second reason the Ukrainians are waiting, we believe, is because the weather still hasn't changed enough for the ground to dry up completely. But yes, there was a report today in, I think it's the Wall Street Journal. Somebody was just asking that the South Koreans are in fact giving a couple 100,000 rounds of artillery. And they're giving it to the U.S. They're giving it to the U.S. and the U.S. is giving it to Ukraine. But that was a really nice thing to see. So yes, that's a big story. I mean, that was a big update. Oh, I was going to pitch you again really quick since we still got a good crowd here. We're still doing more questions. Don't worry. Thank you for the galaxy there, Heine. Remember, we are doing a fundraiser for kids in hospice in Ukraine who are kids with terminal illnesses. There's about 200 of them we're trying to help who are living in a hospice in Kharkiv, Ukraine. Kharkiv, you'll recall, is the Ukrainian city, second largest city here in the Northeast. The kids are coming from towns that were recently liberated from the Russians. They're Ukrainian towns that the Russians were controlling, and these kids have terminal illnesses. They have illnesses that they're going to die from relatively soon, and they're in a hospice. A hospice is kind of like a hospital, but it's where people who are going to die go because the hospital can't help them anymore. And they go there and they keep them comfortable. They give them, painkillers, but they can't help them. So what we're doing, we were contacted by one of these. Thank you, Heine, again. Happy Beach. We were contacted by the hospice, and they said, look, we've got 200 kids we want to help. We want to get them 200 sets of gifts. The gifts will include games, but they will also include paper, pencil, magic markers. I mean, simple things that we would think was no big deal, but these kids don't even have paper to draw on. So they've asked us get some games, but also get some paper. So Vlad said, of course, because of course we would. Thank you, Ruben, for that. And I'm taking donations to help these kids. We need 200 kits. That's $7 each. So every $7 you give, we'll give one kid another kit. Vlad is going to go shopping in 4 days. To buy this on the 29th. So today's the 25th. He's going to buy the materials, and we're going to ship it off to the hospice in Kharkiv to help the kids. If you guys can help, I would really appreciate it. On TikTok, go to my profile. Again, the Linktree link. My profile has everything really on TikTok. Go to the Linktree link. Thank you for the gift there. Who's giving me the galaxy again? Hang on. Quick thank you. Oh, Heine again. You're being very generous today, Heine. Thank you for that. Go to my profile link on TikTok. Click it, the Linktree. You guys could just use aravosis.com. Click it, and you'll see the second thing. I think or the first thing is this, and it'll mention it, and then it gives you Vlad's PayPal address. My friend Vlad, who's coordinating it in Ukraine, you don't click, you don't do anything. You just simply copy the PayPal address, go into your PayPal, and use Vlad's PayPal to send your donation. You guys, same thing with aravosis.com. I will put Vlad's PayPal up again really quick, but it's only $1,400, guys. $1,400. We can do this. I mean, I don't think we've done anything that's been this meaningful. We've been helping kids. We helped kids who were orphans because of the war, but we never helped kids who were in a hospice. I mean, that's, but if we can help them, please do, guys. And if there's extra money, we're going to buy them more. I mean, that's, they asked us to do about $7 each kid, but obviously if there's more, we're buying them more. So if you can help, I just think this is probably the neatest thing we've done so far. So as I said, go to find Vlad's address. You guys have it there. You have it there. Okay, let me keep going here. All right, more questions. Sorry about that, but that was really important. I didn't want to sort of miss out on that. Kenneth, Bill. Oh, Laka is saying, is General Milley being replaced? General Milley is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who is the top American defense uniformed military official in the U.S. Oops. Hang on here. Top uniformed military official in the U.S. His term was coming up in the fall anyway. I think I don't know if it's a 4-year term or 5-year or whatever it is, but typically they overlap administrations, and typically the new administration keeps the chairman because it's not a political appointment at all. You pick a top general for the appointment. It's always uniformed military. So the issue here is, go away. Sorry, go away. Yeah, please. Sorry. We had a troll. I'm not going to let the trolls bother me, but literally we have a troll on TikTok who is criticizing us for raising money for Ukrainian kids who are dying. And thank you for the whale there, by the way. Who was that? I don't want to not thank who gave me the whale, because that was Kathleen. That was very sweet of you. Thank you. But somebody had the nerve to criticize us and say we shouldn't be raising money for terminally ill Ukrainian kids who were just living under Russian occupation, and they're finally free, and they're trying to make them happy in their final months. Give me a break. That's sick. But I mean, this is what trolls, I thank God that the trolls are so bad that they don't even, it's like Prigozhin, that they don't understand how much they're setting their cause back. But I mean, seriously, like that message is going to work. Oh, you're right. We shouldn't be helping. We shouldn't try to find a little extra money for dying children. No, but I bring it up. Because I want you, because honestly, it's another chance to get you guys to give. Somebody comes and acts like a jerk like that, and at least from my perspective, it'll convince one or two more of you. You're going to say, you know what? I'm going to give just to spite that person. That's why I bring it up. I do. I think in the past I found, like, sometimes, unfortunately, you've got to see how bad people are for the good to come out in people. But anyway, These orcs. Ugh. Nasty, nasty, nasty. All right. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for the mods, as always. So General Milley, our top general, is being replaced in a few months. Biden announced today his replacement. Is it General Ash? I forget the guy's name exactly. He's apparently very good. He will have to be confirmed by the Senate first. That's the way it works in the U.S. It's a position that the U.S. Senate has to vote on. My suspicion is he'll be fine, getting it. I don't know when it starts. I don't know whether he's going to wait until, I had heard October was when the current term is done. I don't know if Milley is going to wait till October, whether he's going to leave early. But that's what's up with that LACA. Yes. So it's nothing. It's not a sign of Milley in trouble or anything else. It's just, and now I'm warm. Hold on. I'm warm. So I'm going to take my Russian sniper jacket off because it's too hot. I mean, it's not hot. It's funny. It's very thin. It's kind of cool because it's very thin. Like, I don't know, you guys can tell here. You probably can't tell, but you can like see through it. It's very thin, but it's funny. It's just enough that actually that felt warm, which I'm kind of impressed. Mustard, when you finally win it, it'll work as a nice windbreaker. Daniel says, John, remember in the final hours of the USSR, how news from Russia went blackout and Swan Lake played on loop while a couple took place? I don't remember the Swan Lake, though. Do you think we would even know if and when a coup takes place in Russia today? I think we'd be left out of the loop, much like the Russian people. Oh, the same. I'm sure the same thing. I mean, they would try. Russia today certainly reminds me a bit like all the stuff that was happening with the end of the Soviet Union, in that we're trying to read tea leaves. It's a dictatorship. He's not letting anybody know what's going on. We're trying to read tea leaves, and it's very hard to know what's going on. It's possible that we have better contacts today than we did during the Soviet year, because Russia's more open of a dictatorship than it was during the Soviet years, but it's still a dictatorship. It was a worse dictatorship back then. But I don't know. I don't know if we'd know. I don't know. And sorry, but somebody asked really quick if I feel weird wearing the jacket. No, because you know what? Because it came from a Ukrainian soldier, the Russian sniper outfit. It came from a Ukrainian soldier who is going to take half the proceeds that we get from the auction and give it right back to literally help his unit, to help his immediate group of soldiers, because all of them need more stuff. We've given a lot, but we could never give them enough. It takes a lot to liberate a country, I just answered Daniel's question. What are you talking about? Did Daniel have another one? I just answered it. One of two. Yeah. Hello, Roshan. Unless that's coming up late, that's what I was just talking about. In any case, yeah. So that's why I don't feel bad, because we're raising money for the troops. All right. Craig Prescott, I wonder how many soldiers Prigozhin has in Moscow. Perhaps that's the real reason Putin won't kill him. I don't know. Thank you, Vicky, for the hearts. It's an interesting question. There is some reason Putin won't go after this guy. This is the guy that runs the Wagner mercenary group. We don't know what it is. There's some reason. Got to be something. Yeah, too much map viewing for Roshan. She's drunk. Exactly. Roshan's had a little too much map today, I think. That's got to be what the problem is. Is TikTok buffering or disconnected? TikTok seems to be doing okay right now. It was bad earlier, but I'm talking to the TikTok people and seeing comments now. So seems to be going okay. TikTokers. Yep. TikTokers are saying it's on and good. So I don't know. I mean, you could always go back to TikTok if you want. Sometimes when the link on any of these stuff, when it's not working, if you leave and come back, sometimes it fixes it. It's not really clear. Technology, like the miracle or the curse of technology. Thank you, Foxy, for the heart. That was nice of you. But yeah, Craig, I mean, part of it is he's got troops. Prigozhin's got troops. So it kind of makes sense that people would be afraid of going after him, because he's got his own military. It may not be big. It may be 40, 50. I don't know how many he's got left. 50,000, 30,000 now, maybe. But he's still got his own military, which makes him a force to deal with. And Prigozhin is very beloved on the far right, and the ultra-nationalist right, kind of the Nazi right, really. In Russia, the very far Russian right is, Putin needs them. Thank you, Cheryl. They support the war. Just like Prigozhin, they support the war, but the problem with them is they support the war like too much. Like, they're highly critical of Putin because they think he's not doing enough of a good job. They think he's not being mean enough to the Ukrainians. He's not being harsh enough, right? Prigozhin said something this week about how Putin should have used a nuke earlier against the Ukrainians. So he is not Mr. Reasonable by any means, but I think Putin may be worried about Prigozhin in the sense that, did it doing it again? No. Putin may be worried about Prigozhin in the sense that he taps into a part of Putin's base, this ultra-nationalist base that Putin has to be careful with. Thank you, Kanausi, for the pearls. Stephen Marco, super chat question. Should NATO send nukes to Finland now that Russia is sending nukes to Belarus? I mean, my guess is we won't. First of all, it's up to the Finns, of course, right? You can't do it without the permission of the host country, even within NATO. My suspicion is that the nuclear stuff doesn't matter. It's BS what he's doing with that. So that, and because we're dealing with nukes, it's probably best to ignore it. Here's my point. I don't think it's a threat that matters. If it's a threat that actually matters, okay, thank you, K-Food, appreciate that. If it's a threat or an escalation that really matters, then we should respond, okay? But something like this, maybe I don't want to say it doesn't matter entirely, but from what I'm reading, I don't see a lot of people who are saying this matters. Like, oh my God, it's the end of the world if Putin moves tactical nukes into Belarus. So I'm going to be ambivalent and just say two things. One, there is certainly an argument to be made that for everything Putin does, we should do a counter. So if he's going to move tactical nuclear weapons there, we say, Poland, would you like some more? I don't even know if Poland has tactical nuclear weapons. I don't think they do. Poland, would you like us to move some of our tactical nuclear weapons there to you? The second argument is they don't matter anyway. Putin's doing it just to rile us up. And because we're dealing with nukes, the better response is just to sit there and go, you know what? Who cares? Right? I mean, almost the best response, because A, it doesn't sort of tit for tat nuclear, but it also shows a great disrespect to Russia, is to kind of laugh and go, okay, whatever. Yeah, next, next, yeah, you put nukes in Belarus. Okay, so what? Right? And it's safer that way also, because think about it too. If we move nukes, then do they feel like they've got to do something else nuclear to top us? You don't want to really, even though it's minor and it may not matter, you don't want to get into a nuclear tit for tat. So that's my answer. I would say probably in the end, we'd laugh it off. We'd be better just laughing it off, Anyway, thank you for that. Pull up another TikTok question. Oh, hey, Magic, is that you? I think that's you. Yep. Magical. What do you think will happen post-war to divvy up Russian territory, possibly China getting their territory back? I mean, at this point, it's not clear that, thank you, Crazy American, for the heart. It's not clear that Russia will fall apart, right? There's a chance. There's a chance, if the war keeps going the way it's going, that Putin's going to lose his job. There's a chance with the way things are going that Russia could fall apart. It might. But it's not a guarantee. So I don't know that anything will spin off. China probably won't do anything with Putin with Russia holding together. But if Russia were to fall apart into like a civil war, might China move in? Maybe. I guess part of the problem is going to depend. Russia has 6,000 nuclear weapons or whatever. Will those regions fighting in Siberia, will those two regions that are fighting, and let's assume Moscow isn't trying to get it back, will they have nuclear weapons, right? If they do, and China invades, China's invading a country with nuclear weapons. They may not do that. So that the nuclear thing is the thing that I think will potentially keep others from getting involved, right? But the interesting thing is it could also stop Moscow from, right, fair enough. They say, yeah, that's true. 21 Ghost says they say they have 6,000 nuclear weapons. Fair enough, right? We don't know if they actually work, right? I mean, who knows? Anyway. Oh, YouTube isn't letting you release comments? Don't know what to tell you, Roshan. Yeah, YouTube, something's probably broken with YouTube. Sorry. More questions. Yeah, I mean, does Daniel says, does anyone even care about Belarus? I mean, the thing is, if Belarus were to attack, it would be a pain. Even though Belarus, the military is not very good and they don't have a big military, it's one other front that the Ukrainians would have to worry about. And they probably have had to keep several thousand men there anyway, just in case Belarus attacks, even though the Belarusian attack won't be too big of a deal. If you don't have any men there, then even a bad Belarusian army could invade, right? Because even a bad army is better than nobody. So it does make the Ukrainians keep troops there, which they don't want to do. But I agree with you. Generally speaking, thank you, Greg, for the hat there. Generally speaking, nobody cares. We'll do a few more questions while I yawn at you all, and then we'll call it quits for tonight. I think we can I'll go to the since we ended on time now. Thank you, Kathleen, for the whale. We'll give the wave for a one-handed wave. So I got my phone here, Kathleen. And sorry, there was a little heartbeat where I would block me, had a heart. Thank you, guys. Let me do a couple more questions, and then maybe we'll end and go to the Discord early. Oops, hang on. I don't have too many questions from you guys today. So this is the problem we had before, where people just don't submit questions via the Q&A, which is okay, but I don't always see them. What's for dinner? I think we're ordering out pizza because I wanted us to order out today or tomorrow. If only China invaded Russia, would anyone do anything about it? I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know. That's funny. I mean, they're two nuclear powers. So we'd be very worried about it. I love pizza. We'd be very worried about it because we don't really want a nuclear war. I mean, even though we'd love Russia and China to take each other down a few pegs, they both got nukes. We would not love a nuclear war, right? Also, so much of our economies are already based on China. Some of the manufacturing is in China, that China in a war still could kind of mess with our economies that way, with either cutting off our supplies or upping our prices, or who knows. Thank you, Hedge, for the boat there, and Hazel for was that a pizza? That is a pizza. Thank you, Hazel. That's very cute. That's funny. Thank you. So yeah, that could be an issue. Let me do I'll do the roundup and then we'll call it quits, because this way I can do the Discord for a little bit as well, because we've got time. I will go, that's the other thing I do with the Discord is after the show, if we end on time, like we are tonight, we go over to the Discord and hang out for a little bit. When you get there, left-hand column all the way down, voice channels, look for John's After Party and turn up your volume, because I'll be speaking, everyone else will be typing. Discord is discord.aravosis.com. You can join for free. But if you want to support my work, you can go to Ko-fi, which is ko-fi.com/Aravosis. Ko-fi or coffee, ko-fi.com/Aravosis. And you can find that link. You guys can find it at the bottom of the screen. You guys can find it in my TikTok profile. Click the main link and it'll come up. Number 2 thing in that once it comes up. And it's a way that you can give a one-time donation to me. You can give a monthly donation, which I really like, to support my work here, or you can link it to the Discord. So you can click the membership page. So you'll land on that page. You can just donate, which I would love. So please do help me if you can. But you can scroll a little bit. It'll say Discord membership or whatever. Click the membership button. It'll go to a second page, and that page has the Discord memberships. You can become a VIP member of our Discord, which gives you other privileges, including my great thanks if you're a Discord person and you want to go over there and join us. Otherwise, Discord's free otherwise, but it supports my work, and there's a couple things like some of the auctions that you guys can get into if you're a paying member. So anyway, there you go. I will leave it at that, but please do support my work if you can. You can find all the links at aravosis.com. You in my profile, you at the bottom. All right, guys, let me do a quick summary. So it's day 455 of Vladimir Putin's 10-day special military operation. The Wall Street Journal says South Korea is proceeding with the transfer of hundreds of thousands of artillery shells. Thank you, Frumpy. That's funny. General Zaluzhny, the top Ukrainian commander, was not killed by the Russians last week. He came out in a video today and said, "I'm alive." Big surprise. No big surprise there. Russian Volunteer Corps, the invaders who invaded Russia a few days ago, say that they crossed into Russia again today. It looks like Ukraine used a Storm Shadow cruise missile to attack a plant in Berdyansk, which is sort of southeastern Ukraine today, occupied by the Russians. I showed some video of an attack by the Ukrainians using an unmanned boat with a bomb on it against a Russian ship, intel ship. The Russians claimed The boats, thank you, Tom. The Russians claimed the boats were destroyed in the water. So the Ukrainians released a video of the boat literally coming all the way up to the Russian ship. That boat must have caused damage. It must have. In Zelensky's nightly address, he said that the Ukraine also shot down 2 Sukhoi, or was it SU type aircraft in the Zaporizhia region. CNN says that Russia is denying reports of a fire at the Ministry of Defense, even though Russia's own newspapers reported on it, that it's real. Russia's regular army is starting to replace the Wagner Group mercenaries in Bakhmut. About 20 Ukrainian pilots are entering the first phase of training on modern fighter jets in the UK. Foreign policy reports that Ukraine wants up to 200 Western fighter jets. Initially, they had said maybe up to 50. Russian defense minister and his Belarusian thank you for, yay! Allison, I saw your gift come in. Thank you. The Russian defense minister Shoigu and his Belarusian counterpart have signed documents on placing Russians basically, they've signed an agreement on moving Russian nuclear weapons over to Belarus. They're small nuclear weapons. I'm not too worried about it. Prigozhin used the dead bodies of a U.S. Marine and a Turk to as props in this public relations campaign of his to basically unseat Putin. It's kind of weird. Finland is going to send 109 million euros, around the same in dollars, of aid to Ukraine. And the Swedes are going to, in a very strange story, are going to allow Ukrainian pilots to train on Gripen fighter jets in Sweden, even though the Swedes say they're not going to send the jets to the Ukrainians. It's very weird. To me, this means Sweden is going to send the jets to the Ukrainians. They're just not admitting it yet. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. Thank you all for joining us. Let's go to the Discord. Thank you. Was it Allison or who is our real? I'm looking again. Allison, thank you for joining there. Hopefully I'll see you there. Like I said, go to my Discord, discord.aravosis.com, or you can go to Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Aravosis, and you can become a paying member of the Discord. And hopefully the Ko-fi then, once you pay, walks you through. It should have a pop-up if it's there already that should walk you through joining the Discord. Hopefully. I think it does. But see you guys over there. And otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, US. And then back to DC. And my show will be back in DC on Monday, Washington. So thank you guys. Good night. And head over to the Discord. Okay. All right. And thank you for the gifts and the mods, as always. Thank you guys. Boop.